Greetings, this is Imaduck here with another episode of Quack Poker here in a 6 max tournament. Already jumping right in, just getting started right here. We got 6-7 in the small blind, not a great hand. He's making a 3x. It's 6-7 suited. We could play this hand, but I think I'm going to play a little tighter to get started with. I think I make the mistake sometimes of, I like to play loose, and I think that's a great way to play in a lot of these lower stake things, but I don't think it's a good way to start out necessarily. So let's give it a minute, get our bearings here, and then we will, start loosening it up a little with the lower suited connectors. They're not bad hands to play, and I wouldn't fault anybody for playing that hand there, but you kind of run into these issues where if you don't know your opponent very well, then if you hit your 6 or a 5, it's really hard to figure out how you can continue on that hand. If you just know nothing about your opponent's range or how they're playing or how they're betting post flop, so then you're really just hoping for a flush, and then even then, like you can get beat by a lot of better flushes, so your reversed implied odds are bad, all that kind of stuff. So it just doesn't seem like a great hand to start there. We're in the worst position, all that kind of stuff. So I think that was fine. But hey, how's it going? Yeah, so one of these 6 max tournaments again. It was like a $5 entry, 1K guaranteed 6 max tourney. And we'll see how it turns out here. I've changed my recording setup a little bit. I don't know if it's changed anything. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. Hopefully, I won't run into the video problems I had the last time I tried to record a tournament. But we shall see. And let's see. Speaking of which. Sorry about that, I just tested something. Yeah, there we go. Okay, just tested something and was just trying to make sure my buttons were set up right, and I actually ended it there. We had 9-5 pre-flop. I didn't feel like opening it here. A little too weak. But yeah, 6 max tournaments, fun stuff. So excited to be playing one of these guys again. These are pretty cool, a lot funner than normal tournaments. You're already seeing all this action that's going on. Of course, none of the action's happened with us so far, but still lots of fun action, and the hands are pretty fast and all that great stuff. I don't think we're gonna try anything on this hand here. I think this is a spot where I occasionally will will attack, but it's a pretty scary board. And of course, it just got scarier. Um, I don't know. If we knew these players better, we could consider like a really cheap stab here just to see what happens. Because you can really risk a small amount of chips. Even like a bet like 40 can sometimes take the pot down here. Of course, our opponent here is going to take it down with 60, but he might not even need to bet that much. He could bet it a little bit smaller, especially since he was in position. And already we're getting transferred to another table. So I actually like these because you're usually not transferred to other tables that often, but looks like we were here. Cool. So, yeah, while we're sitting here waiting for our hand, beer this week is a big bottle because, hey, we're hoping to be in this tournament for a while, of Duchesse de... I can't pronounce it. This guy. Everybody just calls it Duchess. It's a Flanders red, which is a type of sour beer. I could actually make this a little more here. I could actually fold this most of the time, but I felt like playing sand. I get immediately punished. So it's Flanders Red. It's a type of sour beer. They're aged in barrels. These ones are aged in barrels for like 18 months before it comes out. But it's also got some sour flavors in it. And this is by far, like if you're not a beer fan, if you just say, I hate beer, I'll never drink it, whatever, it's just terrible, all the beer I've had, it tastes whatever, musky, beery, whatever, and all that, this is the beer I recommend you try. For sure. 100%. Hands down. It is just, it will change what you think beer even is. And if you are a beer fan, you want to try something totally different from anything else you had, this is a great beer to try. This is, well regarded as one of the best sour beers. A great one just to really get into. And you can get it most places. If you go to nice booze stores, they will probably have this. Just say, I want some Duchess. They'll get it for you. But it is a phenomenal beer for sure. And I think no matter who you are, if you haven't tried this, even if you say you hate beer, if you say you like beer, give it a try. A lot of people say about it that it's closer to a wine than a beer. Yeah, this guy min raising. We have ace 8. There is no way we're folding in position against this guy here. Flop's slightly scary for us, but I am going to go ahead and bet. I say slightly scary because, I don't know, it depends what this guy's being aggressive with. We don't know anything about this player. So he might have like a king here. I'm okay with a check and then a bet on the river here. Ooh, this was kind of weird. It's a very weird run out for us here. Okay. So I wonder if he's got like king nine or something. I don't know. I mean, clearly we have to fold here. There's just no point in risking our tournament life here. Um, yeah, who knows? Who knows what the heck that was? But that was something. So maybe we should have bet the turn there for sure. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still kind of just feeling him out. I kind of felt like he just had a king or something. Um, and so I felt like we could bet there. And for a little bit of protection too, if he's got a better ace than us, we could like bet, check, bet. I think gets us the best value there. This is a pretty crappy hand. We're going to fold it. So Duchess does come in these nice corked bottles, like a closer to like a champagne bottle than a bottle of wine. You just remove the little thing and you pop it open, which is nice. Gives you a nice little pop like that. I'll fold here. Like I said, it's a Flanders red. They're not that alcoholic. This one's only 6%. So it's not, it's not that much more alcoholic than a normal beer. Normal beer ranges are 4 to 6%. I think my water cup's gonna overflow here in my ice bucket here. Gonna fold. You can see it comes out sort of a dark. You might not be able to see in the camera, but there is sort of a reddish tone to it, kind of a brownish reddish tone. Um, the smell off the top is very, very fruity. Like I said, a lot of people consider this to be more wine-like than like beer-like. And I would definitely agree. I mean, it's got characters of both, and that's why I would say, I really believe that there's a beer for everyone. And so this is definitely the one when I find someone who's just like, oh, I just hate beer. It's terrible. It's beery. It's icky. Like, this is what I recommend for them for sure. So we opened. It seems like we got to bet this most of the time. Although we're a little wary because we saw this guy do his, check, bet, whatever nonsense before. He might be overly aggressive. This check raise in here. I mean, fine, you got it, buddy. The min raise, it's good. But so we're going to feel in this guy's kind of aggressive here. We're going to relax a bit and kind of keep that in mind. We might end up calling him lighter later down the road. We've only seen 6 hands with him. It might be just that he's had it both the times or whatever. But I mean, he certainly made some weird aggressive bets. Again, with the min raise out of the small blind, I'm always going to call him here. Even with this hand, even against someone this aggressive, it's still just like that price he's given is just great. So I'm expecting him to bet here if he's as aggressive as he seems so far. Yeah, you get to buy the pot super cheap. Well, you know what? Nah. It's a little too wet a board. Like, I don't believe him at all there. But it's too wet of a board for me to, like, play around there that much. Because he can call with a lot of hands that, even though they're not great, we're still behind them. So there's kind of no point unless they made it huge or something. And I don't know, the guy might just be a total clown and will just, like, shove anything and whatever. And it's just, a nutbag or whatever. And so that case, we don't really want to feed into that. We just want to play solid poker and then take advantage of him when he, makes a mistake betting too much or something. Take that one down. Oh, God, this beer is so good. Yeah, like I said, I mean, no matter who you are, I mean, skip every other beer I've talked about here. Give it a try. Go to your nice beer store, ask for Duchess, get it, give it a try. Thank me later. Like I said, even if you're one of the people who watches this and just goes, "Oh God, why is he talking about beer again?" This beer is the beer for you. But that's not to say it's like a bad beer or wussy beer or whatever. It's an amazing beer, an amazingly crafted beer. And yeah, it's not what you would traditionally think of as beer at all. This is one of the reasons I always argue that beer has a much wider, flavor range than say wine. And I think this really demonstrates why that is. Like this, you'll drink this and you'll be like, that's beer. Like, yeah, it's made the exact same way other beers are. It's got a few extra things going on in it, but it, has the ingredients of beer and it's made essentially the same way, just with some extra care and some extra details and some more interesting ingredients and all that kind of stuff. Mm. Oh man, it's just perfect. And it's not if you ever had for those of you who had sour beers, it's not like one of the puckery sour beers. You know, it doesn't. There are some sour beers out there that it's like having one of those warhead candies or something. This is not that. It's a much maltier, smoother, kind of sweeter one. It's very nice. Yeah, so we haven't. Yeah, this tournament has nothing interesting's happened so far. We've bled a few chips. Looks like we might bleed a little more here if he c bets this. There's not much we can do. I mean, we've got a gut shot and a decent three flush, but we're out of position. It's a pretty wet board. I'm okay with just folding it here. This guy, doesn't seem to be doing anything too crazy. So yeah, hopefully we'll do it well in this. We'll see how it goes. I think this is another one where the buy-ins last, again on carbon. I play, but every time I play a tournament on carbon, but the buy-in periods are just forever in these. I'm just on and on and on and on and on. 2 hours or something like that for a lot of these like low-stake tournaments. And I don't want to play turbos, but I do want to eventually, get to play longer. And it's actually not bad because once it gets near the end where people are buying in and they have like 5 big blinds, then you want those people to buy in because they're just inflating the payouts and you're just going to take their money most likely, I'm going to raise it up here for sure. You got a pretty good hand. This guy just limped, he doesn't seem to raise much pre-flop. Little bit of a scary flop for us. Ooh. Oh, dude. Alright, we're going to call once just to see. When they bet pot like that, I think I could just fold there. Because I've kind of found people who bet pot tend to bet again and again and again and again and again. I don't know. Have we hit trips? Yep, well, that is one that you do that with. I'm going to make the same raise as last time. Even though I would normally go a little bit more for this. I'm just going to make the same one as last time. Looks a little weak and stuff. Okay, seems like a good flop for us. Maybe I don't think we won a pot yet, have we? Maybe we'll finally win a pot here. We're definitely going all in if this happens. This guy insta-raised on us. We're not going all in just yet, but if he jams, we'll call. Oh, I assumed he jammed there for some reason. Clearly he did not. Yeah, we meant to go all in. Got the nuts. I like that it makes you confirm, though. It makes you confirm. Do you want to call his all in when you've got the nuts? Why, yes, I do. Thank you for double checking. I considered folding there for, a bet that was, 1/20th of the pot or something like that. Ugh. That was really aggressive by this guy. He had 5s there and just thought, I don't know what that was. So let's pull up that hand so we can analyze it a bit because he's still got chips, so it's good to know what he's doing. He had 5s there. He called our raise, which I don't hate. But then he flops just a flush draw, and he's got 5s. I could easily have ace jack. I can easily have the ace of hearts, which I did, which has him, dominated, especially, if anything comes out. His best case is I'm clowning around on the flush draw, and I don't know. This is not good. Because even I would probably have overcards to his 5s, 10 jack, 9, 10 jack, queen. So we've got an open ender. So we're definitely betting here. And he folds. So looking at that hand, sorry, I don't have the hand history in front of you guys, but you guys remember it. Yeah, so I don't know what he was thinking with those fives there. Like that just seems it seems like really poor play. I mean, unless he just thinks, I mean, it may have been that based on the way we played our last hand where we played it really weak, he felt like he could just own us there because we've been playing kind of weak. I am definitely going to bet here. This is a limp pot, and we've got likely the best hand, so we might as well kind of try to protect it here. Golly, I mean, given how light this guy acted aggressively before, I don't think we can fold here. This is really weird, though. I think we're gonna call. Sucks if he's got two pair. All right, so we got this, huh? All right. So I'll take that down. Yeah, I mean, sucks if he's got two pair, but you know, as aggressive as he was, I kind of imagine he'd be pushing with any pair, pushing with the threes there. You know, so that's why it was good. I just reviewed that hand, so I had in his mind, you know, his game really well. I mean, the guy seems just very aggressive and doesn't seem to, but he's not quite sure where it makes sense for him to be aggressive, and so there was a place there where like you know against tighter players I probably would fold there because there's some players who are never ever shoving there without something you know better than top pair. um, Most players I'm probably calling though. I mean I think against a player I have no information about I'm probably calling there just because he doesn't have a full stack. And so we're still fine if we lose that. And most of the time we're probably ahead given that he can have straight draws and flush draws and second pairs and, you know, pocket eights or something like that, you know. So, yeah, I think the call was fine. Obviously, it worked out. And, you know, but based on our read on him from the previous hand, that made it pretty easy. Yeah, there wasn't much agonizing there, I don't think. I just always get a little worried when I'm playing lower stakes and I see a lot of aggression. Because, I mean, usually when you see a lot of aggression at lower stakes, it's either they've got the nuts, you know, because most of the players will, you know, some players know, like, okay, you've got a hand, you need to bet. But most players aren't going to shove their stack in when they don't need to, when they're not super short or whatever and all that. So they've either got the nuts like that, or there's some player who's really bad and just too aggressive. Tends to be the two types of aggressive players you see at these stakes, who are just guys who are clicking buttons. And so with those type of guys, I always think it's worthwhile just to wait it out, right? If they're being that aggressive and they're being aggressive in every spot, they're going to make you. You'll be able to sit there and watch them and get that information from them and have that read on them, and you'll be able to make money off of them in the long run. So it's kind of if you think about the paths of, you know, what's the safest path there? Well, you fold because if they're a nit and they've got the nuts, you're behind. And you also, you know, if they're ahead, you know, at the very least, you know, if you're ahead, at the very least, you know, okay, well, if they're playing that poorly, you're going to find other spots where you're going to be ahead of them, and you'll end up getting money and being able to take advantage of it down the road. You know, especially in tournaments, you want your tournament life has value. You know. I think we can check raise here. I think it's fine. Depending on if this guy chooses a C bet, he does not. Then I think we're definitely betting here. I don't feel great about it. The king's not a good turn card for us, but obviously we've got outs. And these guys haven't done anything to show that they have a hand. So I don't mind it, but you know, certainly that's a hand they could check back in with is some king X. You know, I think we can still profitably bet here. I think 450 looks scary enough. If he's got some middling pair, he's gonna fold it. Yeah. Or if he's got like a flush draw, a straight draw, something like that, he's gonna fold there. And obviously our, you know, whatever six high or whatever is not gonna make it. It's almost starting to be a dog to anything our opponent has there. So I think that bet at the end is definitely profitable. He's just got enough hands in his range that are beating us that we can get to fold out. Certainly not betting for value, obviously. This guy's tanking for some reason. All right. Yeah, look at how much more action, how many more hands you get in. We're already 29 hands. How long have we been playing? Oh, I'll bet the thing will tell me. Guaranteed 6 max. 21 minutes. Yeah, I mean, this is so much better than the full ring. All right, so we've got King 6 here, suited. So we are going to raise and make it like 150. Guy's got a no money avatar. I do kind of like the being able to add your own avatar things. You can also block the avatars. Every once in a while, I see something that's really just distracting or disturbing or something, and you can just, I think you right click or something, you can block them. Yeah, hide avatar or whatever. So I've done that a lot of times for some of the weirder ones. But I do kind of like the personal expression avatar. I mean, I think, if you're playing 100% perfectly, you probably shouldn't have an avatar. You just have a picture. And in fact, you should probably, I mean, you probably should have some generic name. You sometimes see these names that are just like a string of letters and numbers. And it's probably plus EV because people really, there's enough of those that people aren't going to remember you. Not everybody's taking notes. Not everybody's using poker tracking software. So they might have, they'll just have no information on you. They really won't recognize who you are if you just have the default generic no avatar thing and you're a string of numbers. Who's going to remember that? So I think that's, probably that. But, the trade off, yeah, not worth it to me. I mean, poker's also about fun and being social and all that. And I think one thing that to keep poker healthy is you want to keep people who are playing for sort of the social fun aspects of it and keep it fun. So if they see you as some serial number shark, and you see everybody else as a serial number shark, it's just not as personal. It's not as exciting. And I think a lot of the, you know, more casual players are going to be just less interested in playing. If everybody just looks like a robot, you know, I mean, obviously there's still not much chatting or anything. I think we can bet this. I think this guy's folded. Yeah, he's folded to every C bet. Even without looking at his stats, I was thinking, yeah, he doesn't. I mean, seems like he's been kind of 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, check. I mean, we could maybe bet there, but without a lot of information on this guy, I don't see a reason to get super aggressive. We're kind of lagging out here. I hope this works. Hope it's not actually eating my time bank for no reason. I've had this happen before with lag things. Let me see if it fixes itself. Alright, we've returned. Unfortunately, we had some issues there. Sorry, and that was just a quick raise. I just got back in. I just got my internet back. So, sorry about that. Yeah, internet disconnected. Had to piggyback on some other internet connection here. I don't know what's going on. I'll have to look at my router later, but obviously the min raise is not ideal here for a lot of reasons, but it's not the worst. We'll be okay. Yeah, I mean, we raised, we have a pretty flop aggressor, so we might as well bet here. See what these guys do. I have no idea what happened with that hand. I guess I don't know if the hand history will tell me what happened with the hand I timed out on. I don't even know how the carbon hand history worked. Oh, crap. Sorry. Again, shouldn't necessarily be min raising here. Actually, I mean, well, they're starting to get low enough to where actually min raising makes sense from any position. And depending on how these guys are responding, we're all pretty short here. We likely have the best hand, and we definitely want some protection here. So we're gonna bet. Guy calls. He could easily have an ace. Weird bet. We're just gonna call. I mean, he's just given us too good a price to do anything but call there. If he bets again, I'm probably going to believe him. All right. But I kind of think that was just a weird bluff. No? Okay, he's got... All right. Kind of an odd way for him to play that hand. I mean, certainly... I don't know what he was trying to accomplish with that bet. I mean, if he just really knew that my hand seemed weak... I mean, I don't even know. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish with that bet. I mean, okay, yeah, he's got two pairs, so he's beating if I do have a jack. I mean, he's definitely ahead of me most of the time, but it just seems like he could, he should wait and see if I'm going to bet. If he's been paying attention, he could see I'm kind of an aggressive player. I'm going to bet there a decent amount of times. And the only times I wouldn't bet there is when I have absolutely nothing, or okay, maybe a medium hand like mine. But even then, he could probably bet on the river. I don't know. I mean, him knowing my hand, that was probably a really good bet. But it seems like if you compare that to my entire range, that's not a great bet. So unless he had some reason to believe I had some middling pair, I don't know. Or maybe he thought that like I might have ace jack or something and then re-raise him, I guess, is possible. I mean, because he's got to believe he's got the best hand. I don't know. I don't. I mean, obviously, it's not the kind of bet I usually would make, and without knowing his thought process, it's really hard to evaluate. I could have attacked there. I mean, this guy's been limping a lot. Let's make a bet here, see what happens. Insta raise. I'm going to believe him, I guess. I don't know. We're going to keep an eye on him. Well, tells us he does have it. Why? Like, that seems like the worst spot to give away. It's like I kind of felt like, that's kind of, if I had to guess the type of hand he would have, that was what I thought, obviously, which is why I folded. I'm going to raise it up here. I mean, this guy seems to like, I don't know how often he's calling here. Well, this guy calling is interesting. Hopefully nobody has ace queen, but otherwise we're pretty good, I think. Could have made that a little smaller, I think. Probably should have. But, they're probably not calling with anything there anyway. So I guess I was betting there just... I don't know, it's hard to say, because, right, I mean, because they're probably folding to just about any amount, anything from half pot to, anything half pot up. And they're probably calling, if they've got a worse hand than ours, if they've got like jacks or something like that, or tens or nines or whatever, they are probably calling about any bet that's, 90% pot or less. So I guess sizing it big there is not necessarily bad. Yeah, I guess it's not too bad. Because it's just like there's not going to be a lot of drawing hands they're going to stick in with. So really, the only way we're getting any money off of that flop is if they do happen to have a pocket pair and want to call. Of course, we could check there, but it just doesn't seem like anybody's been that aggressive. We could hope one of them hits some other measly pair on the turn, but I highly prefer to bet there. Just makes the hand less weird. Not that I would blame you for mixing it up every once in a while, or even doing that as your regular thing to check there, but yeah, I'm going to have to empty my ice bucket here in a bit. By ice bucket, I mean big old Hofbrau mug. Put some ice in there. Makes a good little ice bucket. Till it all melts. They kind of just checked that down, right? I wasn't paying close attention to it. And I'm asking you guys, because you guys can, of course, tell me as I'm playing here. Let's make it 210. I guess with the player missing there, we didn't need to make it quite that big, although they seem to be calling a lot, so seems good. Betting here, most likely have the best hand. If we don't, we'll certainly hear about it. I don't know what I would do if somebody raised me there. I mean, it's kind of a weird spot because they're starting to get fairly short. And so if they're getting short stacked, I mean, the pot, especially a three-way pot like that's going to be close to their stack size. So they certainly could be like, I've got ace nine, ace eight, ace seven, I'm all in. They were kind of just at the stacks where it's just slightly too big for them to be doing that all the time, and most players won't. But some players, do kind of get in that panicked. This is the first time we've seen him raise, but the price is pretty good. We've got a suited hand. We might as well see a flop here. I mean, maybe it's not great just because he's short, at least relatively short. So our implied odds aren't that good, but yeah, But we haven't seen this guy raise pre yet, so I'm kind of guessing he had a big hand there. I wouldn't be surprised to see kings there or something like that. Sure. Let's see a flop. This guy to my left doesn't three bet much. Well, not even three bet. It was just a limp, but he's not raising it much, so I think that's fine. If we know we can see the flop for 40 cents there, we kind of might as well with this hand. I'm not going to let it check around and let me get some runner hearts or something. I mean, we think this guy is playing fairly straightforward post flop, this Cali kid. So, I don't think there's any reason to play around. But he does seem like in the last few hands he's gotten more aggressive. Definitely more aggression than we've seen from him pre. I don't know if he's just switched gears here or what. It's a little strange. I mean, I certainly do wonder how many players, if people do that, where all of a sudden, it's like I'm going to play tight for the first 20 hands and I'm going to totally become a different player. I mean, at these stakes, it doesn't seem great because there's so many players who just aren't paying attention to what other people are doing that, you're not going to get much of an advantage from that, and you really should just be playing to how the table's playing regardless. But, against if players are paying attention a bit to you, then yeah, you can probably eke out a little extra money by switching up your game plan, midway through. Like if you've never raised pre-flop and then you start raising pre, yeah, you're gonna get some attention. Of course, again, he's only 15 hands, so we don't have a ton of data on him at all. These numbers certainly mean something, but he could be raising sometimes, just hasn't had a really great hand in a while. Or he might just, when he first sits down, just feel like he doesn't want to raise at all pre. Who knows? Alright, I'll take a walk. Cali kid. Yeah, look at him raising again here. Yeah, I'm going to fold. I don't know. It's not a great hand. There's no reason to call there. Not a great hand. He's pretty shallow, so like our implied odds aren't that great. It's not the worst hand, but we're in the worst position. This guy to our left is playing pretty tight, though. I mean, so maybe with the overlay it's okay, but I'm fine with just hanging out for a bit. I think we'll call with the suited hand on the button here. I mean, this guy's been pretty tight too, but we are table captain here. We can start pushing people around. Don't know how people respond to this, but we're gonna put this out here. I mean, Donkey Dog's the most likely to have a hand he can continue with here. Just an ace or something like that. But I kind of feel like is he really gonna go all out? Okay. Asked and answered. Yes, he is. And see, that's the thing is I was highly considering betting there. I don't think I would have just because that 3 didn't change anything on the board. I was heavily considering betting there. And but his donking there lost him some money. And again, against certain players that is the right strategy, I think. But against me, who's clearly being so aggressive post flop, if you're watching my hands at all, then I think it should be obvious that I'm going to be betting a lot post flop, and I don't know. I mean, unless his hand is really weak and he just kind of floated that flop, so 1-2 me there. I don't really know. I mean, but he's pretty tight. I mean, I guess given how tight he was, it may not have even been worth it to bet that flop. But I can't be that bad. I mean, maybe he's never folding there, but also with how tight he is, he tends to seem. I don't know. It's hard to say. We don't have a great profile on this guy just yet because he hasn't played many hands. He's been here for 20 hands, but he hasn't actually played. He's played 2 of those or whatever. Yeah, we'll check. We got a pair. So here, again, I like to bet in these spots for protection because we do probably have the best hand. But if we continue to the river with this hand, 3-handed, we almost certainly will not have the best hand. 10s are scary. People like 10s. But, I mean, it's just a limp pot, so nobody's hand means anything at this point. This guy folds. Donkey calls. We got a full house. I mean, do we think he's, like, sitting on a pocket pair here? I don't see any reason not to bet here. He might be like, I got an ace. I got ace-6. Well, hopefully he didn't have ace-6. All right, yeah, we're just checking it here. What you got? All right, we got split. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I said ace-6. He might have ace-5. All reasonable hands in his range. But, once we make the full house, then it doesn't really matter. I figured he wasn't, otherwise, I mean, he had to randomly have an overpair. I definitely considered he might have a better 5, and then it doesn't matter because he's just going to call us there. He's probably not going to do anything super nasty. So, we might as well just bet there for a little bit of value. I guess a little bit of protection too. But probably not protection because he's probably calling with whatever he called the flop with. But I wouldn't. But I consider the fact, yeah, he might have a better 5, but he's probably never raising there if he's got like his ace-5, which of course he didn't. So betting there doesn't really cost us anything. We're either splitting that money back up at the end of the hand, or we're winning the hand because he's just got like an ace high and he thinks that's good or whatever. Guy donks. I'm going to call. He's going to be too good a price not to call here. It's not a great spot, but we've got 2 overs. It's okay. I mean, I kind of, again, I don't know. I don't have a good read on this guy. Again, with this price, I think we've got the odds to call. And especially he's playing, like, yeah, are we going to fold here? Yeah, I think we're going to fold here. Just because I believe this guy. I think he's been playing straightforward. I think when I see that kind of weak, slightly stronger thing, it's like he just doesn't know what size to bet there. Because, right, if he's betting 80 there, why doesn't he bet 160? I'm probably still calling that. If I'm going to call his 80 bet, I'm calling 160. He's not pushing anybody out betting 80. So, I mean, there's just no point whatsoever. Sorry, this was the last hand I'm talking about. There's just no point whatsoever for him to just, there's no point whatsoever for him to go 80-80. I mean, you should never find yourself min betting in a situation like that with the pot that big. The pot's 7.5 big blinds. You put 1 big blind in, like it's such a tiny. I mean, basically, I should be calling with any 2 cards there. Unless you have pocket aces every time you do that, I should be calling with any 2 cards there. Yeah, and here I didn't see exactly what he did, but looked like he bet and then he showed the hand. So again, kind of telling us again that yeah, when he's aggressive, that he's usually playing this stuff straightforward. I think shows ace-5. He had a pair of aces. He was in the big blind there, or no, he was under the gun and he just limped. Yeah, okay. He's doing some things. I'm gonna fold. It's kind of a weird spot for me there. We are kind of table captain, although we're not that far ahead at this point. But we are kind of table captain, and so if I felt people were being more defensive of their stacks, I might attack. Now, given the fact that this guy is not playing many hands, I could see an argument for attacking there because we're going to win that big blind a lot of the time, or at least he's going to fold, which will give us the overlay to make that, a decent raise there. This guy had raise automatically checked. With the overlay here, I think we have to call. It's not a good hand. It's not a great spot, but, you know, that's fine. You can have it. And I don't know. I mean, this guy's min betting a lot. I don't necessarily believe those, but, in that spot, I don't think there's anything to do there. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this guy. He's showing some hands. He's not showing some hands. Who knows? He has me confused, but I don't think he's making correct decisions. Uh, having your opponents confused does have some value, but I don't think it has quite enough to make sense there. King 8 suited, maybe the worst hand I'll really call with here. It's not like a suited connector. We do have a pair of 8s. I mean, not crazy about it because this guy's so tight pre. But, if he's... So maybe he's got a jack. Well, we've got 2 pair regardless. I mean, I guess we're pretty happy. And I'd kind of have to draw out all the hands here to be 100% sure. Because it's just a question. I mean, this guy is raising so rarely. I mean, he is on the button, so he should be a little bit looser. But, so far from what we've seen with him, he's not raising that often pre. Well, this kind of sucks. Yeah, I mean, if he's got an ace, he's got a straight. And he's probably betting it. Okay, well, we win. 8-10. Oh, so he got the 2 pair on the river. But, yeah, he was a little afraid there, I guess. Okay, yeah. I guess his play makes some sense. Like, yeah, he had the weak pair on the flop. I guess, actually, I'm just a little surprised that he had that hand opening pre. So, I mean, it might be this small sample size. He might not have he might not really be as tight as we've kind of been assuming, because he opened 8-10 suited, I guess it was. So that's not a crazy hand. A lot of people will open that there. I certainly will, of course. But I think his pre-flop raise probably is bigger than 4% what it was before. But again, you really need several hundred hands to be sure. But I usually try at least like 50 hands before you can be, somewhat confident. Really it's, you can think about this scientifically. Your error bars are going to go down the more data you have. So like right now, I'd say these values are probably accurate plus or minus 15% or 20%, So, or like for his VPIP at least. Well, obviously it's not 20% in the negative, but anyway, I'm just going to fold. I've been playing a little tighter recently. I think maybe because I haven't been playing quite as much. I played some live poker last week, a few days ago. It was a lot of fun. Just a house game. It's actually a really interesting house game. I played with a lot of deaf people. In fact, basically everybody was deaf there except me and my one other friend that we went with. There's like 30 people there and they're all deaf. Very cool to play though. I mean, it was really cool to, very, very different type of experience. I knew a little bit of the sign language, at least like the poker sign language, just because I've played with deaf people at some of the other poker leagues I've played in. There have been some deaf people, but it's never been like where the entire table is deaf and like, nobody, you can't really talk to anybody. You can't really, you can't sit there and try to listen for the action. Like you really have to watch people's hands because that's how they're talking to you and all that. There's the raise. There's 1, 2. Deaf people count to 3 this way. This really kept screwing me up for some reason. My bets had lots of 3s in them, and I kept doing this, and I was like, oh no, that's W for the deaf people. No, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or actually, sorry, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That way, you got to do it the correct way. Anyway, but it was a lot of fun. It was pretty cool. But yeah, had a good time. Had a little blast with it. But it was really different playing with them. I felt like I had a bit of a disadvantage just because I had to have all this on top of like, my normal poker processing. I had all of this sort of like trying to, trying to keep all the sign language straight, trying to make sure I wasn't making mistakes. Of course, when I screwed something up, it was always hard for me to communicate like what I had done, or oh, this card went to the wrong spot, or oh no, my bet I said it was a raise to 1,000, not 800. You know, there were some confusing spots. But I got through it. I had a tournament that didn't. I just didn't go anywhere. Basically, got blinded out. Just nothing happened. Just had no hands that were doing anything. And then won back almost all my tournament entry in cash, which was pretty fun. So that was cool. But yeah, that was cool. So go play with some blind people. It's a lot of fun. Or blind, deaf. I have been saying deaf the whole time, right? If I said blind, I meant deaf. They were definitely all deaf people. I don't know how you'd play poker with blind. I guess you could play poker with blind people, except they don't know what the chips, right? You have to tell them what chip they have in their hand or something, or they could just announce their bets and you do it for them. Oh, but then they have to know their cards too. To get some braille cards or something. I'm playing it a little loose here. You know, no, don't need to open this hand or call with this hand here, but pre-flop. But again, it's a decent price, and I don't think this guy is raising there much, so you know, I'm just gonna make a little bet, see what these guys do. I mean, I know this Cali kid's been kind of loose aggressive post flop and could try something here, but I feel like this bet, you know, I'm not risking much. I think this is profitable. So we don't think he's got trips, right? He tanked on that bet there. So if he's got worse than an 8, wow, just insta raises there. This is such a weird spot. I think I'm going to call. I don't feel great about it. Don't feel great at all about this, but okay. Yeah. But for the price he was giving me, kind of seemed worth it. I don't feel great about that. I mean, maybe I should have folded there. You know, if he'd done anything more than a min raise, I don't know. I mean, I guess I should stick with my reads that I had on him. That I think that when he does that kind of stuff, he does always have it. I guess he's just been pretty aggressive lately, and it's just kind of, I don't know. I mean, in his tanking on the turn, you know, sometimes timing tells work, sometimes they don't. I think, are we too shallow here to call this? I think we are. I think this guy is too shallow for sure for me to call this, even on the button. And this guy's just too aggressive. I don't know. Immediately punished. We got a gut shot. Got a flush draw. Straight flush draw. Or sorry, not a gut shot, an open ender. Jeez. We really screwed this one up. We definitely screwed the pooch in this one. I just would have gone nuts on this guy. He's got trips. Ooh. Well, I guess that was good. I guess we dodged that. This is doing this thing again where you raise a little bit more than 2x here. Because it looks stronger than it is, you know. We'll try to chip up a bit. So yeah, I don't like playing with this Cali kid. I don't know. For some reason, it's just not been working with me. I think he's got a lot of play that I'm particularly weak to, like those min raises. I'm so loose. I just really like to call those, and I'll talk myself into calls when I clearly shouldn't. That tanking on the turn though, that definitely bought it for him too. I think it was just like he tanked on the turn, which seemed so weak, and then he has like raise automatically checked, and it just strikes me as this like really weird bluff players do sometimes. You know, without all of that extra information, I'm folding there basically every single time. But also, it's like, what else can he have there? He's got the ace that he's super slow playing like that. I mean, I guess he did. So he is kind of tricky. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I guess say what you want, but he's giving you trouble. Man, this is like, I mean, there again, it's like, man, the price is so good to call there, but I just really can't. we gotta start protecting our chip stack a bit. We're only at 33 big blinds, you know. Just really can't go nuts and play loose, even in spots where like mathematically it kind of makes sense. Because you're just going to chip yourself away at that point. You're more likely to chip yourself away than actually reap the benefits of playing marginal hands, you know. Good bet here. I think we're going to bet here. I don't want this Cali kid to scare me off of betting completely. Okay. I mean, we probably had the best hand anyway, but I didn't want him to scare me. You know, it's wrong to adjust to what he's been doing to just not bet at all. I think he's also just kind of had us in a couple spots, and that's that is how it is, and so you can't just like completely turtle up when someone's owning you like that, because then they're just going to own you more, right? So not betting there, I think, is a mistake most of the time because we want to bet a little for protection. We typically have the best hand there. If we don't have the best hand, we probably have a draw to the best hand. So it seems like we really need to bet there though for some protection. Better flush draws are going to lose us a lot of money, so we want to charge them for that. You know, I mean, granted, we had a pretty good flush draw on that hand too. I'll pull up the hand so you can see what I was talking about. But I mean, yeah. Wait, was this it? What's going? Oh, sorry. Like that wasn't the hand. I didn't have two pair and not notice it, right? Anyway, yeah. So this hand on the turn, we want to bet a little bit for protection, a little bit for value. I think we always want to be betting there against certain players who are always going to put us in the cage there. Like shove. Then if someone shoves there, I probably have to almost certainly have to fold. I'd assume they've got like the ace of clubs or something like that. Especially, I mean, this guy playing tricky, but I don't want to give him more credit than he deserves. I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right. Yeah, so I mean, this dude's flopped trips like four times, I think, in this 42 hands. So that's pretty good for him. So I don't think he's great. I think he's just been in a lot of good spots. And when people are on heaters like that and they're a bit aggressive, it really frustrates people. And they'll sit there and be like, "Oh, there's no way he has it this time. There's no way he has it this time." Uh, and so you can really get yourself in trouble. So I mean, and that's one of the reasons you should try to be aggressive in those sorts of situations. Like when you're doing really well, continue to be aggressive, because people will get really frustrated with you, and you'll make the most amount of chips that way. I think. All right, there's going to be a break, and then we will go on to the post break. All right, we're back, and we're folding. That was awesome. Uh oh. Don't lag out on me. Is Google working? Oh, this is not good. Did I lose the internet again? What's happened here? Why do you think that? Okay. I don't know what's happening with my internet. Sorry, and I shouldn't have fiddled with my phone. Okay, there we go. I don't know what's been going on with my internet here. All right. So I think I'm actually on the other network. I know this is exciting stuff, folks. Imaduck talks about his broadband connection. All right. Anyway, yep, back from the break. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Sorry again. So, we got some fives. I like fives. It's a hand. It's not a great. It's actually, a worse hand than you'd think in this spot just because we're so short. And it's rarely going to be a winning hand. So, it's not a great hand to play out of his position. Of course, if this guy's just going to let us limp to the flop, I'm happy to check here. Happy to check here. Not feeling great about things, but gonna call once here. I know. I mean, I know we've said this guy's kind of tight. We just kind of believe him. You know, if he bets here, I'm gonna really think about calling. Okay, we got it. Yeah, I thought he might just be on some sort of draw there. I felt like that made some sense, and so I thought he might bluff that river even. Um, but yeah, he did not, and that's what happened with that hand. Great storytelling by Imaduck. All right, we got a whole lot of nothing in this hand. Don't see many ways for us to win this hand. We get some running jacks. I'll feel good about my hand. And if it checks around, we get a jack on the turn. I'll feel good about it. For, you know, if we were two-handed, I'd probably bet here, maybe. Four-handed, I don't want to bet here. You know, this guy's made so many little nitty bets, it makes me want to call so bad, but ain't gonna do it. Not four-handed, not out of position. You know, he's been buying a lot of pots for cheap. You know, I mean, I don't know about that guy. I don't. A lot of his betting is very unconventional, but I feel like it's just been working out for him. You know. No, let's. I was thinking of making it bigger, but you know that's kind of a giveaway, and kind of want people to get maybe shovey here or something. Although maybe if I did make it bigger, it would make this guy a little more interested in shoving. Obviously, neither of them probably had a hand that was anywhere close to that, so whatever. I think it just started raining. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it is raining in the outside right now. Do I have my mic set? Yes, I do. Good. Obviously, you guys know if my mic is working. Alright. Donkey Dog. So Donkey Dog seems tight, but seems pretty decent. Maybe not quite aggressive enough post-flop. But at these stakes, it's not always bad to just play like really tight poker. I mean, you can usually do fine with that. 6-8 is not an exciting hand. You know, if we had this guy's chip stack, then we probably could start getting aggressive in spots like this, because it's not the worst hand, and you know, now people are starting to get short enough where their chip stack matters. But the way things are right now, we can't get too pushy. We can get a little pushy with these guys, but with this Cali kid right there, there's just no way. I mean, it's just gonna be hard to steal. He's probably gonna be calling a lot. You know, he's already been calling a lot, and he's got the chips to call with about anything. This guy shoves. This will be interesting to see. Cali is thinking about it. Folds with a king. Oh, that's got to be wrong. Yeah. I mean, I think his opponent almost always is on a drawing hand there, because if his opponent's got a king beat, I don't know. Maybe he's shoving. Maybe he's shoving no matter what if he's connected with that in any way. I don't know. But I think if Cali Kid should be calling with a king, I mean, unless it's like King Deuce or something, maybe. I don't know. Figured a flush. Well, you figured wrong. Yeah, so I really think this Cali Kid is just a bad player on a heater. And bad players on a heater are very dangerous because you're like, oh, he's playing so bad. I just want to wait till I win money from him. You know, it's just a matter of time for him to make a mistake. But if he's on a heater and he's just making money, you know, it gets really, it gets really frustrating, and then you start making mistakes instead of treating it, and it makes him look like a different player too. Like if he's got lots of hands, he's going to be betting a lot and look really aggressive. When the reality is, well, he's just had a lot of you know good hands. 150. We have to call this. We just the pot odds just so good, so good. Immediately min bets. Immediately min bets. Our hand sucks so hard. Yeah, I know. But look, we're not going to make stupid mistakes against this guy anymore. I guess we are folding here. Yep. Okay. So Cali Kid raises with Ace King. What do you know? It's a shocking revelation. The cork says this beer expires in 7/2015. Yeah, one unfortunate thing about beer is once you've got it in the bottle, it's not like wine where it gets better with time. Beer will actually, I mean, it will change character with age, and some beers do get better with a certain amount of time. But really, all beers after a year or definitely 2 years, they get way worse. They lose their carbonation. They're often susceptible to getting infections, getting nasty bacteria in there, that sort of thing. So unlike wine, where you can keep it for years and years and let it age and get great, beer, don't get me wrong, 6 months of aging can be great, but 3, 4, 5 years of aging, you're probably just going to have flat, potentially nasty beer. Um, so, it's kind of unfortunate because it'd be great to have a giant beer closet or whatever, but there's kind of a limit to how much beer you can stock up on, knowing that it will go bad eventually. Have a big beer cellar, which I mean, I know people who do have beer cellars, but they have to be kind of careful about that. Sorry for all the pausing. I had some calls coming in. Hopefully, it didn't screw up the recording any. And I know you missed some of that hand, so I'll pull it up because I too missed that hand. This one here, fold. All right. So we had 6-3. We folded. Cali Kid raises to 2. Donkey calls. Fold, fold, call. Okay. Flop comes down. He bets 3. Donkey calls 3. Oh, he hit trips again. Holy fuck. I mean, this guy really is hitting trips once every 10 hands. Like, he has hit trips 5 times since we sat down. Like, some guys, man. Again, with these, weakish pairs, it's not great to call here. They're not great to bet here, but it's not terrible. A weird flop for us. Feel like a bet of 450. We kind of accomplish what we want to accomplish. All right, cool. Can't be afraid to bet in those situations. I'm a little afraid. It's not a great hand. If they get aggressive, it's really hard to decide what to do. That you probably just fold, given the way these guys have been playing. If they raise us there on the flop. I mean, if Donkey Dog shoved there, I would really consider calling. But, we can't be that far ahead if we are. Like they probably have 2 overcards to us at the very least. So, gotta be careful. This guy with the min bet. I'm gonna call this time to see what happens. Auto min bet every time. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he might be just one of these players that does this, but when we're getting this shallow, it represents a big part of our stacks. I mean, he kind of maybe knows this. It's just a weird strategy that seems to be working for him here, though. But again, I mean, the guy's been on such a crazy heater. You know, I was just interested to see if I call there. I mean, obviously we kind of have that information already. He's kind of been continuing with those min bet sorts of things. I just don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think we just need to pick better spots than throwing away chips calling there. I just really kind of want to see if he changed his play at all, but dude has just been playing loose as hell and just hitting everything. So what can you do? I mean, of course, he's got trips here, right? He's gonna fold. He's gonna fold. Cali Kid folding after betting. He doesn't have the nuts. That's crazy. Interesting that he's raising, but he's been raising a lot. You know, we're short enough. We gotta kind of go with it. That's gonna be weird if he like shoves here, but I mean, we gotta kind of go with it. I don't think we have a choice here. We don't have a choice here. We can't like just c bet because it's a big part of our stack. We don't know what this guy will do. This guy seems like he's afraid of like major aggression. He'll mess around with you, but he's afraid of big aggression. So I feel like he's folding there a lot, even with better hands. Um, you know, like I think he's gonna fold a lot of pairs there on that flop. I mean, granted, there's not a lot of pairs in his range, but if he's got like pocket tens, he's or even well, I don't think he'd fold queens, but pocket tens he'd probably fold. You know, those sorts of things, and then he's gonna fold like ace kings, ace queens, that kind of thing. You know, which were you know still ahead of some of those, but I don't really need to make it 3x here. I think that was a little big actually. I think 400 would accomplish the same thing. But I feel like that shove was absolutely correct, and pretty much your just only choice there. The pot's just too big, and we're just if he's hit a pair and he decides to call us off, we've probably got outs. We've probably got outs to about anything he has. I just unless he hit trips again for the 18th time or whatever. Well, I didn't think we were playing this hand, but I guess we are. Hey, look, we got a pair. See, now here, on the other hand, is a spot where I don't feel great about betting. I will call for a big blind here. This guy's been doing this. Of course, the other guy calls too. But, Cali Kid could easily have hearts here. 750. I think it's a good size bet. I think it'll get some calls from some weak hands. I think it's right on that edge. Yeah, I was hoping he would call with the 9, but I guess not. But, I mean, when I bet that in the 3 players, it looks pretty strong, so, it's whatever. But I don't think I could make it... I mean, I could make it smaller, but I don't think you maximize your profit by making your bet much smaller than that there. Like, I could have made it like 600 or something. Maybe he would call for that. I don't know. He did think about it for a second at 750. You know. I mean, it's an interesting thing to think about, but it's kind of one of those things where you have so many unknowns. It's really hard to say. I think I'm just going to fold here. Yeah, so I've tightened up my game a bit. I mean, especially though tournaments, even at these 6 max tournaments, you can be more aggressive, but you should not be as aggressive as cash, I think. Again, because your tournament life has value. So you got to be careful with trying to preserve some chips so you can stay in here, You don't want to take a bunch of little marginal spots. like this. We could raise it here, would be interesting. You know, it'd be an interesting squeeze there. If I had a slightly stronger um, suited connector, then I might. That's a little weak though. Would have had a pair of threes. Excuse me. Cali Kid. Ooh, and there's a shove. I mean, I tend to believe Donkey Dog here. He hasn't been shoving that much. And kings are definitely in his range. Cali Kid's folding. I mean, are we deep enough that I can raise profitably here? I think I can. I'm interested to see what he does. We haven't been raising much pre against like limpers. We haven't been attacking the limpers that much pre. And we got position in them. We got a suited connector. Can't be the worst. I'm just interested to see if he's folding this ever. I kind of feel like he hasn't been folding to these raises too often, but he's just been opening so wide. Like, really, what is he? You know, what is he doing here? Is he really just opening everything and gonna call against every single raise? Alright, a big blind decides to call. Well, this isn't a spot where I feel great about betting, but I think I'm gonna lay out like 850 there. I think I'm actually okay with just peeling. Don't even, I don't know. We got a pair. Got a pair. Better than your pair? Here. I don't think the 6 is gonna cut it. I don't know. I'll be really sad if it would have. If he has like Jack 10 or something here. Clearly he's got, whoa, ace 5. Alright, so, I don't know. Maybe I'm not paying attention much. I don't know what this guy's doing. Like, he makes that min bet on the river. I mean, his min bets have been working. I mean, maybe this guy just realizes just how much credibility he's got because he's been doing stuff. Because, you know, because he's been just making so many hands. Or maybe he's... I complained about the 600 the last time, but I think this is a little better because this guy... I guess he's not really deeper now. He's a little deeper, but the blinds went up. Meh. Okay. Maybe. So maybe you could have made it like 450 or 500. That's okay. I don't think Donkey Dog is in shove mode just yet. I think we'll just call here with the ace jack. I'm fine with that. Not the flop we wanted to see. You know, I mean, call there again is a little loose. I still feel okay about it. Just because we've seen him do some weird shit. We're ahead of a lot of hands here. Oh, he's got the king. Well, he's got 2 pair. He doesn't bet that river. Yeah, I don't know, man. Okay, so I just, you know, I'm letting myself get owned by that guy again. Well, we just saw him do a big bluff thing. I don't know, man. I don't know why I keep just paying that guy off, but I am. Make this 400 because I can. I'm gonna make this 850 because I can. If he jams, we're calling. It's a paired board. You could have hit trips there. Okay, it's gonna suck if he's got the full house. but I think this is right. We said he could have had trips there, and he did. All right, well, that was the one hand I felt the least comfortable with, but I felt like I don't know. I felt like he could have just hit trips there, and he could have seen that push shove as a bluff. Obviously, him making the full house. We've got the king high flush. So he rivers the full house, but he had the two pair and flop and turn. I mean, his play makes sense. It sucks. I mean, the river just kind of sucked for us. And part of the problem is we had so much money in the pot. Like, if we just lay it down there, which is pretty much what we would have to do, you know, so we could check fold, but then our stack's kind of crippled. Okay, or we can shove there and he can call us with worse made flushes, pairs, other pairs, trips that aren't full houses. Like I think he'll be calling us with those some of the time because our shove looks a bit bluffy. Like it looks like we could have missed a flush draw or something like that. I just don't know, man. So I was fairly happy with our play. I mean, we were playing a little tight, but I was fairly happy with our play up till that point there. I think that's, and I don't think that was the worst. I think we win there a decent amount of the time. And of course, I mean, I was very worried when I saw that 10 come down. I said, well, he could have the full house, and that sucks. And that's a paired board. And what are you going to do? I mean, another option would be to check there to see if like he had a missed flush draw and he bets there, and we just call, and maybe we don't lose our whole stack at that point. But then we're at like 2,000 chips, which we're still in the tournament. But I think the upside to shoving there is just slightly better. I don't know, man. I don't know. And this guy hasn't been doing much. I mean, for him to just call, I just think there's not a lot of information there. I think our play was fine. Okay. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry to sound so depressed. Yeah, it just didn't quite go the way. Like I felt a little dirty about it. I knew pairing the board, like I was risking it. I knew 10-9 was in his range, but I just kind of felt like if you look at every hand he can possibly have there, I think we maximize the amount of value we get out of that exact hand. And the amount of value we get out of the tournament in general by shoving there. I think. Could be wrong. So when we shoved there, we bet 18 big blinds in the 16. Yeah, so we would have been down to 18 big blinds. That's still enough to play in the tournament for a little while. I mean, we're start getting in the range where we need our own double up. I mean, it was just a horrible river card for us. We're 91% to win on the turn, and then he hits one of his outs. And so, not much you can do about that. I mean, yeah. I'm just thinking of like what else, what his full range in that situation is, and I just gotta believe that's just the profitable way to do it. I gotta believe that, because I just, yeah, that's my thought. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know below, especially what you think about that hand in particular. It would be pretty interesting. But I think I played it okay. I'm pretty happy with that. Ish. And I think I played the rest of it all right. We were playing a little tighter than usual, but I think that's right for this. I think our hands were a little off. I think our reads on that one guy, I don't know, man. Every once in a while you get a player you're playing against, and they're just owning you left and right. And, they just happen to have that perfect play style that's like sort of the yin to your yang, where it just takes they just poke you in the right ways that makes you lose money, and even though that player, you put them against everyone, put them against the entire field, they're a losing player. Maybe against you, they're a winning player. I don't even think that's the case with that guy. I don't think he's necessarily a winning player against me, but I think given he was on the heater and he was frustrating me. It's certainly like in situations like that where he's getting good cards and frustrating me, I was giving him more money than I should have, basically. It's just weird though. It's just very annoying to get min bet. You know, having to get min bet then fold all the time against a guy like that, or min raise fold all the time like that. And it's like, really, you've had a hand 8 hands in a row. Anyway, wine from me. Ooh, look at this. Chop it up, chop it up. Anyway, oh, it's pretty fun though. Pretty fun. I still like these six max tournaments a lot. I mean, so there's just so many more hands you get to play. It's just so much better than playing these big ones. You know, shame for everything to go down like that, but you know, because we were doing all right for a while, but hit the second nuts on the turn and ugh, on the river. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time. Adios.